Welcome back to Free Founders, where we share actionable lessons from the world's best solopreneurs and small business owners. This is for aspiring entrepreneurs who want proven strategies to go from zero to first sale and onwards to scale and enjoy the freedom that comes along with it. My guest today is Gleb Gordeev. He's worked in product companies like Amazon, ShareNow, Delivery Hero. He's now founder of Kodebusters, a unique app builder company. He's also living life differently. In 2023, packing up his life in Berlin to move to Bali, Indonesia. And in this episode, expect to learn, firstly, why filling the void is so important as an entrepreneur. Secondly, how Gleb defines success for himself as a solopreneur. And third, tips and tactics for launching a successful app builder company in what is a highly busy, highly competitive market. I'll then add a section about sort of reviewing the episode once we record it. So, Gleb, you're an entrepreneur. You built your career in Berlin. Recently, you moved to Bali. You're surfing a lot. You quit alcohol over a year ago. Why?
That's right. Why I quit alcohol?
Why these big changes?
So I would say for months, I've been feeling like I'm not living the life which I want to live, right? And I was feeling it, but I couldn't explain what exactly is happening inside me. During COVID, I started to work remotely. I started to travel more, even though, many countries were closed. I spent some time in Spain, in Canary Islands, and this is where I met so-called digital nomads for the first time. I get really excited about this lifestyle. I get excited about the opportunities. And I also clearly understood I don't want to go back to the office anymore. But I couldn't make a move. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know how exactly to change and how to get rid of this feeling. I was feeling I didn't feel integrity. I didn't feel like that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I was feeling like I'm lying to myself. And I've been feeling like this for a while. And I would say when I came to extreme in feeling this inside me, this was the moment when I made a change. I said, okay, my lifestyle in terms of my habits, I don't think it brings me to where I want to end up eventually, like midterm and even short term. I realized that my daily routine doesn't support me in my ambitions. And eventually I realized that the career path which I'm walking, even though I would say I was thriving there, I realized it doesn't fulfill me and it doesn't bring me to where I want to be. So this is why all these changes happen. I don't want the audience to think that I just get enlightenment or I'm so smart or whatever. No, I was feeling really bad, and I think I extended this and delayed this, these major steps in my life for way too long. And out of necessity, I changed. And I changed and I changed my lifestyle because I couldn't leave my old one anymore. So this is how it happened.
Yeah, it's a shame or a bug in human psychology that usually it takes some extreme, for me it was getting fired 8 years ago. For others it is depression. It's some key moment, someone close to them dying, passing away, that triggers, finally it triggers some action to be taken. I find it really interesting. You said you were, thriving, high performer. Looking at your profile, that definitely that backs that up. Did you find that a bit of a trap, in fact, that, you're doing so well following a traditional career path? I'm sure money was good. Everyone's giving you a pat on the back saying, Gleb, wow, look how amazing you are. How big a barrier did you find that to holding you back or delaying breaking free from a 9 to 5?
To be honest, the biggest barrier here wasn't the money, because I was never spending everything I earn. And I didn't even know when exactly to spend it, because I was working, living in a big city. So most of my expenses were my rent and then going out. I didn't have this flavor of life back then. So I didn't know where exactly to spend, because now I will spend all my money on surf trips, to go to different countries. buy surfboards, maybe just buy good things. Anyway, I will find a way how to spend the money. Back then, so my point is money wasn't the biggest obstacle, I would say. What held me back the most is the fact that I'm an immigrant. So I was living in a country where I still was feeling like a guest for a while.
So in Berlin, right?
In Germany, yeah. And I was feeling the more secure path I'm walking the less risk I will be exposed to. And also, when you are a foreigner, you live in another country, even though you speak the language, you understand the culture, I lived in Germany for almost 9 years, so I know this country very, very well. Still, there is always a little bit of extra effort in every extraordinary things you do. Let's say if you want to start a company, you'll have to go through a lot of stress with paperwork, bureaucracy, with the processes, going to different departments and talking to different people. I think in retrospective, this was the kind of the biggest barrier for me to finally make this leap. And also, because of this setup, I would say most of my friends were feeling the same. And I still believe that if you live in Western Europe, having a secure job is a better choice than to go into entrepreneurship, just because the system is designed this way. And many of my friends were thinking the same, and we were kind of, maybe also holding each other a little bit back. So again, of course, for OG, this is not an excuse. You will always find a way. And of course, there are a lot of thriving entrepreneurs also in Germany, in England, in Western European countries. But for me, as somebody who came from another country and spent so much effort and so much time to finally get this security, which I wanted, of course I get attached to the security, right? So usually we move to another country, especially when we're young, because we're looking for a better life, where we have some expectations regarding what we want. And when you get it, you also get attached. And for me, this was the most challenging thing, to detach from my role, like head of product or senior product manager, detached from my salary, which I think was for sure top 5% in the country. This was most difficult. And to realize that, okay, now I need to roll the sleeves and eat dirt for the next, 5-10 years. But yeah, looking a bit like, how to say, right now I think it was one of the best decisions I made, but back then this was something which was definitely holding me back.
Yeah, interesting. There's a really strong, I think we usually think about the financial side, right, which is going from steady salary to zero, but and that quote around regular paycheck being one of the most dangerous things that you can have in life.
Right.
But the social element, I think, is really important. Like, I come from the UK, where I wouldn't say the UK is included in that group. I think it's very easy to start a business. There's very low bureaucracy for small businesses. But, I was 4 years in Berlin in Germany, and the culture is very different around entrepreneurship. Like, it is not common at all to start a business. It's less socially acceptable. And add to that then the bureaucracy, where it's like, you need a legal advisor, you need, 50,000 euros just to start anything there.
And if you want to hire somebody, like if you want to hire someone from abroad, it's almost impossible.
Yeah. I mean, hiring just generally, and then you have the tax and social security on top, makes it impossible. Very difficult for small businesses. So yeah, people just don't bother. So I think that that cultural element, which is not talked about enough from people around you in the workplace, whether it's them going like, Gleb, what are you doing? You've got such a good career path ahead of you. Like, you've got to be crazy. To family as well, right? Even in the UK, loads of people when I started my first business saying, are you sure maybe a traditional career path is going to be better? So there's a lot of people trying to drag you back into the tribe, right? Sort of let's do what everyone else does kind of thing. I want to come to your journey shortly, how you started Kodebusters. But I want to come back to this point about lifestyle changes. So when you talked about remote work and sort of discovering that path, how much of that was, when you're moving to Bali, was that around, talk to me about that decision. Like, how did you choose, let's say, Bali, Indonesia versus anywhere else in the world?
Sure. I've been backpacking for a while. I traveled a lot in Europe, also in Latin America, a little bit in Asia. And traveling is not the same as with like living and working especially. So I spent some time in Canary Islands. I totally loved it. I think it's an excellent place. And I also heard so many good things about Portugal as well. Many people who I knew very well, they were raving about Bali, and they say like, it's just incredible place. And the moment they opened again for tourism in 2022, I came here and I fell in love with this place. Not only Bali, but Indonesia in general. So answering your question, for now, Bali checks all the boxes for me. There's an incredible community of entrepreneurs, the cost of life here is way cheaper than, let's say, in Europe. I love surfing. It's one of the best places in the world for surf. Nice weather, very friendly locals. I really love the culture here. And something which I start to appreciate more with time is that Bali is very well located in Southeast Asia, which is, I think, now the most, like, the fastest developing region in the world. So it's 2 hours away from Singapore. There are a lot of direct flights to Dubai and to Emirates. Australia is also here next door, and other countries like Malaysia, with Kuala Lumpur as a capital, like huge financial center. I see like how Bangkok, Vietnam, how these countries are also developing right now. I think it's an excellent place to be based if you aim for Asian market, like Southeast Asia in particular. And this is also where I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years. I want to take the full advantage of this proximity, that I'm here and I have access to these markets. And like, as a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, I'm going to Jakarta for like one big technology conference, like something like Web Summit of Asia. Super hyped about this. It's my first time being so exposed to local community, like the local business community and tech. And but I want to do more of this in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore. But jumping back to Bali, I think Bali is like a solid 9 out of 10, or maybe 10 out of 10, sorry, 8 out of 10 in everything. Let's take the beaches. I'm sure there are better beaches in the world somewhere, but Bali is like solid 8 out of 10. Let's say infrastructure. I'm sure there is something better, right? But Bali, let's say 8 or 9 out of 10. Community, same. So every aspect which I appreciate in the place, Bali has like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. And together they make like a very, very powerful combination. And that's why I'm here.
Nice. One thing I've thought about a lot since, so my first business startup when I was age 22, I think it's the first and probably only time I've ever sort of felt like I struggle with like mental health. I found it's unbelievably stressful. Stuck in London in November, just like commuting, pitching to investors, trying to hire people. And, you know, studies show that entrepreneurs generally, like 30% of entrepreneurs experience depression. That's double the average, right? In terms of community. Like we've moved to Portugal. I've moved around a lot, like Berlin, Brazil, Portugal, Spain. And where you live like really has a big influence, right? And obviously that's part of different elements like sun exposure, exercise options. You know, if it's sunny, you're more likely to go and be outside just for a walk in the morning or have windows open, that kind of thing. And I think tribe is really important as well, right? Yes. Being around the kind of people like you. You know, we're not talking nationality, gender. I think that's irrelevant here. It's, you know, are people having the same struggles as you, having the same conversations? Or do they have the same interests, right, as well? And using that to really like energize yourself. So I think one thing I've always, you know, been quite deliberate about is moving somewhere where you're ticking these sort of core needs for a person.
100%.
Right, to sort of be happy and fulfilled because of the stress that comes with running your own business, whether it's a startup, whether it's a solopreneur. How big an impact do you think that move has made, not to you, well, you personally firstly, but also for you as a business owner? Have you seen that has paid dividends, basically a good investment in yourself by moving?
Sure. Maybe before I answer the question, I'd like to quote, I think it was Buddha. He said that our life is a struggle, but we can choose our problems, something like this. And I know that there's a lot of stress being an entrepreneur, running a company, when you have responsibility, when you need to pay salaries, when you also don't have this paycheck which comes in the end of the month. But for me, all this stress is nothing compared to the stress of knowing that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I remember this feeling very, very well, that I was, as I said, I had a successful career. I had everything like a person can, I was doing quite well, but I was feeling so lost and I was feeling so empty inside because I know I'm walking the path which is not mine. So the stress which I have now is a snack comparing to that, for me personally. Even though, of course, if you just observe,
but it's a different type of stress.
Yeah,
I think we confuse I find this very interesting as well. Like I remember last week we all went back to the UK for like a cousin's wedding, and I had a call, a whole family like gathering the clan, like all the cousins, and I had to do a call 6 to 7 p.m. and then was going to come and like join everyone for dinner. And I walk in, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry you had oh God, you had to work 7 p.m." And I was like, I like it. Like it's not a stress thing for me. Like it's work, but it's a different. There's a Greek term like eustress, where it's pushing ourselves, but in a positive way. Right?
Yeah.
It's the same pushing ourselves, in the gym, but we know we're improving, or surfing, but we know we're improving.
Yeah.
There's that kind of stress, which you generally get with your own business, and then there's the stress where it's that I call it it's like disalignment of purpose. It's like, you're not doing the thing you should really be doing.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, whether it's going out to drink to forget your problem, doing drugs, or playing football, just to sort of escape in some way, there's always going to be that voice there and that stress sort of layered on top like snow on everything that you do and everything you touch. So yeah, I think it's realizing that, well, look, my life is relatively easy because I'm in a stable job and I'm doing well and I've got probably good friends and maybe I like my colleagues, but it's not, and it's scary to go and start a business, but I'm going to ultimately feel better because I'll be in control. I know what I'm doing. I feel purpose in my life, doing my own thing at some point. If you're enjoying this episode and want to get each shiny new episode straight to whatever platform you use to listen to your podcast, please subscribe using the subscribe button below.
Exactly. And this has a lot to do with like masculine side of ours. Let's say masculine side, both like male and female have it, but for us, for guys, of course, we're more present masculine. And our masculine side is about the mission. It's about being a warrior and walk our path. And when modern society, with all the comforts, with all the services and availability, when they take it from us, no surprise we're getting depressed. I think a person who associates themselves with masculine, no matter the gender is, or the person who feels the masculine side inside, will be unhappy without this mission, without the grind, no matter how much comfort you have, no matter how much money. And I was definitely feeling this. So right now, I'm earning way less than I used to, and I know it's going to be like this for a while, but I'm so hyped every day to start the work. And I also believe that diamonds are made under pressure, right? Stress has a bad reputation, but we are survived as species because of stress. Back in the days, you sit in the bush, and if you are stressed, it means maybe there's like a lion around, so you need to do something. And now we can take incredible amount of stress without acting on this. But stress is there to tell you something. Stress is like, listen to me, you are stressed because of some reason. Don't ignore me. But we became really good in ignoring that for years, and for some people the whole life, So yeah, stress is always there, but it has different ways, different messages.
Yeah, I love that point. There's two things I really want to unpack there. The point about purpose for, I'm going to say men, but purpose around having a goal and a struggle, I think is spot on, because we see it. I don't think it's a big surprise. I mean, a whole nother conversation, but some people will say, well, men start businesses because of societal expectations, and like men invest in other men, and that's why we see sort of male driven company. But you do see a certain, most people will recognize there's a certain like nature to entrepreneurship. It's like massive risk, uncertain, but it has a very clear mission. I think that's what sort of attracts men to it more than women. And so I think, many people, once they do start their own business, yes, it comes with stress, but the purpose and the mission, like going into battle, right, is for this higher thing. And that gives us purpose. And I find it very interesting because I see others who do not start a business, which by the way is not the only way to find this, but they will find a way to find a struggle.
Yeah.
I think I sort of see three groups of men particularly, but I think there's the entrepreneurial group, which find purpose through work. There is those who are just depressed and lost, I think, who don't have something. as you say, they've basically been dislocated from their nature, I think, in modern society. And, all the things on paper like comfort, security, job, family, but they lack something. And then there are those who find another outlet, and, things like ultra marathons or just running, or maybe it's football on Tuesday evening, that becomes their way to be with the tribe, their way to find some higher goal to drive towards. And there was a really interesting study on, just as an action point for anybody listening who is sort of struggling or feeling lost, particularly men in this case. It's been shown that, we don't directly talk about problems, right? So it's pretty rare to say, well, what we're doing now, and say, I had this struggle at some point, I'm struggling with this now. We talk indirectly, and apparently just 2 touch points a week with other men. So that could be playing football, not even like having a coffee, sit down, chat, playing football, or, us two going surfing and chatting before we go in the water, coming out of the water. Just 2 a week massively decreases the chances of depression.
Yeah.
Because it's that sense of connection and belonging and something that we are working towards. So I find that super interesting. And again, it doesn't need to just come from starting your own business. It can come through other outlets, but as a focal point.
Right now, like, I'm a part of 2 men's circles, which are kind of created for this exact purpose. So there is like a safe place for men to be open and just say, like, I have this problem and I want to be heard, or I want to listen, like, I want an advice for the topics which maybe we don't want to discuss with our partners or with our colleagues or with our bosses. It can also be about business, but mostly it's about personal. And I think this is incredibly important. But what I also see more and more, these men's circles happening around, and I often, maybe it's because I'm doing this, I attract people who are doing this as well. But I see that I never heard of men's circles a few years ago, but now I see that most of my friends, they're a part of one or many men's circles. And I think it's great, and we should promote it. So maybe in the audience, maybe we can inspire someone to also start one. And as you said, there is no specific agenda. It's just being in this masculine presence together with each other, and be open, be vulnerable, and cry if you need. Open your heart if you need this as well. I think it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah. I think it does seem to be an effective way to address men's issues versus, say, because if you think traditional psychotherapy is female dominated now, it's talk therapy, and like, evidence obviously that works, but I think there perhaps is a better way. But I want to come back to that second point you mentioned about stress being a natural human response, and listening to that, I think, is such a key point, because it's if you are constantly under stress at work, that's not a good sign. Because again, it's fine being busy like that. Or there are, for example, now I've just started a new business. I'm launching this podcast as well. I'm busy. I don't have as much time to, say, go surfing or go for a walk or sort of chill out. So my balance has shifted slightly, but it's a short-term thing, and it's fine, and I'm happy with that. I don't have an issue with it. But if you're constantly, every day, every week, indefinitely, or for the last 5 years, feeling high levels of stress, like wanting to just like switch your brain off Friday 5 p.m., then there's probably something wrong that you need to listen to there. I think that's a really, really good point to make.
Absolutely.
I want to come back. Sorry.
I just want to say it's there for you to run or to defend yourself. And if you're feeling like this in the modern environment, in your job or with your partner or wherever, if you feel under this stress, your body is telling you like something is odd. You need to either defend yourself or get out of there.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Let's talk about your journey into entrepreneurship. So that moment. Tell me about the moment when you quit your job and you said, I'm going to start my own thing.
So my last job was in a startup where I was leading a product team and the product development. I left in early 2023, and I had this privilege that I took some time off. Like I didn't feel like starting something new. I said, okay, I will be in Bali just for a few months and just enjoy. For the first time since high school, I don't need to do anything. I have no plan. I wake up and I decide what to do. But as we discussed before, without a mission, without the purpose, I couldn't last long. I really enjoyed this time, especially because I could take some extended times off, like a few days, not checking my phone, not checking my emails. This is what I love the most. And then I was thinking, okay, let's do something. And I thought, okay, I want to start something I'm passionate about. I've been in product management for a while, and I think I want to change. I want to do something which is related to my personal interest. I opened, together with another co-founder, we opened the e-commerce brand of mouth tapes. It's like a biohacking for improvement of sleep, because I'm a fitness nerd and I'm into this longevity and performance topics. And I thought, okay, let's do e-com. And the first lesson which I learned about entrepreneurship, starting something you don't know how to do, maybe it's not always the best idea if money is your priority. So if money is your priority, it's better to start with something you know exactly how to do and just make it better. So after a few months of growing this brand, which was actually an incredible journey, because you learn a lot about some topics which people in corporate usually never touch, like SEO or ads or the funnel, or how to start the CRM, how to optimize all these things. So this is something which e-com is, I would say, a great university to really learn this very basics of business. But after a few months, I just realized, okay, it's not going to be viable anytime soon. And I wanted to earn money. I want to make like a cash flow business which will support my lifestyle. And meanwhile, I thought, okay, I've been doing product management. I'm doing it quite good. And I could also see an opportunity in the field. And I said, okay, let's just do it. And I invited 2 more co-founders, so we're 3 now. And this is how Kodebusters started. A bit of background on that. So also my last job in the startup, basically we were matching companies who are looking for talent with agencies and freelancers. So it was a platform for software, it's only for tech industry. We're matching this too, and I could see that there is it was very difficult to match because expectations were so different from both sides. Like freelancers and agencies, they want to maximize their hours. They want to charge more because this is how they earn money. It's either agency earned by reselling developers, or freelancers just want to have a better hourly rate so they can earn more. And it's not necessarily means they work very efficiently because of this model. And on the other hand, companies, especially in Europe, during an economic recession, they have smaller budgets. They're looking for quick solutions, something more efficient. That's why this match was very difficult to find. And on the other hand, I saw how AI is developing. I mean, like the AI which we're using, like AI tools, no-code, low-code technology. I saw a massive opportunity there. Like, let's pack my years of experience in product management to really define right products for right user problem and combine them with no-code, AI, low-code automation to really build them faster. Because users and also the companies, they want a working product as cheap as possible, as fast as possible, without sacrificing quality. That's everything they need. Most of them, they don't even care if it's native or it's no-code or low-code or whatever. Like the stack is very, very secondary when it comes to launching a product. The first thing which people care about is finding product market fit and make it a sustainable business. 99% of founders are really motivated by that. And for users, they just want the product to be nice and solve the problem. The more good products we have, everyone is happy. This is this is the main purpose of technology, to solve and automate the problems. And I think this is where no-code and low-code and AI automation really fits in excellently. And I wanted to build this kind of a little bit of a rebellious brand. Let's call it like that. I wanted to build a very young, very dynamic company, which is going to break this pattern a little bit and say, okay, we have transparent pricing, we have transparent processes, we do this as our way, and if you're on board with us, if you vibe very well, we'll make a really great team and launch your product very fast. And yeah, this is how this idea came, and I decided to close this e-commerce shop because I realized it's not going to be a viable business anytime soon, and I just wanted to focus on Kodebusters because this is my passion right now. This is my only project at the moment. And yeah, as I said, every day I'm hyped about starting work on that.
Love it. So it's taking a load of notes. There's like 6 topics. I was like, oh my God, I really want to dive into. How did you? I want to talk about some differentiated value, right? So how the elements that you've included in your offer to make it stand out. Because I think it's really interesting as an offer and it's interesting as a brand. Before that, though, how did you get your first client? So you've got Kodebusters as an agency to basically help you build apps quickly. We'll talk about the details of that after. But how did you get your first client?
So what we did is that we have a workshop. We have like a signature workshop, which usually costs $2,000. So this is a very demanding workshop. We spend 3 hours with the client, and then it takes around 2 or 3 days for us to do the homework, present with the report. So it's like a standalone product, and we did it for free. Like I texted everyone in my network, and my co-founders the same. So it wasn't public, so we didn't post on the internet like, hey, we will work for you for free. It was only through the network. And I just texted everyone I know on LinkedIn, everyone I trust, say, we have 5 slots, like this month. We want to do it this month, only 5, first come, first serve. Ask anyone who is launching a startup or who are building a product. This workshop will bring a lot of value to them. So we do it for free. And this is how we found customers, because conversion from this workshop is actually quite good. Because
what's the specific percentage?
It's hard to say, but like a half, I would say.
Okay, great.
So this is an excellent way for us to demonstrate our mindset, demonstrate how we work, our communication style, also to see if people like to work with us, like on the human level. So this is how we get the first customers. And I recommend this to everyone who is doing like the service-based company, like an agency or a freelancer or, personal coach, anything. Give away 5 premium products and start from there. Not only you will first like test the waters, you'll likely get some customers, but also you'll receive this crucial feedback, which is absolutely necessary in the beginning. Because when you start, you operate from hypothesis. Like, I think this is going to be a great product, but okay, let's test it. And by giving this service for free, you'll get the feedback, which will be very valuable for you.
Just a final thing on that. I noticed on your LinkedIn you have that free workshop feature in your featured section, right? So do you, in terms of your funnel, do you encourage potential leads to go straight to that, watch it and go like, basically, like, this is what you can get for free, and then they come and do a session with you and then you sell them? Is that the general funnel at the moment?
So right now we made like a tool based on this workshop, which everyone can take for free. And in the end, so it's not the workshop itself. So we still do it, but more for already committed clients, because as I said, it's a very demanding process for us.
Yeah.
So the tool which we built is incredible. It's all the credits to my co-founder Ilya. He automated this thing. So once you complete the tool, you see the report which we generate based on this framework which we use for the workshop, and then we have a call where we can discuss it in depth. So something which Alex Hormozy said and really stick to my mind, like, with your business, you solve a problem for a client. And then this solution exposes 100 other problems. And if you want to grow your business, you need to find out how to solve them. And let's say we will do the workshop for you, and they will show like, okay, you have some gaps in your product positioning. Here's how we can help you to solve this, right? You can work it with someone else, you can do it yourself, or you can do it with us because you've seen our style, you see how we deliver. And with iterative software development, and with any iterative business, once you come to one milestone, you open 1,000 different problems, which also need a solution, and you should be the one who will solve them. We, on our website and in general, we promised to launch an MVP 10 times faster. But every entrepreneur knows that when you launch the MVP, this is where the struggle really begins.
Yeah,
this is where you have like a real business pressure.
Yeah, you've just got to the start line.
Exactly. It's by no means it's the end of the journey. It's just the beginning.
Yeah, I really like that, because I think it's really important to show that almost always businesses start doing something that doesn't scale. So Airbnb, the classic example was like renting their own apartment. It was then getting a photographer in to go to listings and put photos up. In your case, it was running this super expensive, time intensive workshop to get those first clients, and then automate it a little, well, processize it a little bit with a recorded version of it, some resources that they can use to then sort of, make you able to move faster.
Right.
I want to come back to the offer, because huge mistake that I think aspiring entrepreneurs and most entrepreneurs I think make is they confound, right? They conflate, confuse solution with offer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They go, I'm going to build a marketplace for dog owners, and it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, what is that? And offer, when we're talking about the offer, it's like, here is this piece of value that I'm promising you. And putting that in terms that really resonates with someone is I've found an essential skill. I think really only started making progress as an entrepreneur with consulting and Pro MBA, and then last 3 businesses, once I understood what an offer was and how essential that was. And let's talk about your offer, right? So sorry, just for people listening, when we're talking about an offer, it's about the value promise. I always think of it as including target audience. So who are we helping? What specific value are we delivering, and how are we delivering that in a unique way? It's not good enough to go, we help startups launch a product. It's, we help startups launch a product 10 times faster and 80% cheaper. Now that's different. That grabs my attention. You mentioned 3 key things. Price. So the pricing model is a differentiator.
Yes.
Right? So you're saying that you're basically going against the flow, the convention of an agency, where an agency will traditionally, they will make money by making this thing drag out as long as possible, because it means they're paying their developers, billing more hours. As with consulting, billing more hours equals more money for us as the agency. And you're saying we saw the incentives were misaligned, and we're going to really go against that. Differentiation through pricing. Second thing, I think leveraging experience and the sort of unique insights that come with that. So there's credibility, but also a sort of depth of understanding, which helps you stand out versus, say, random person on the street starting this kind of company. And then also that picking up on the wave and saying, we're not just going to be a general MVP agency. We are specifically looking at the wave, the convergence of not just no code, which has been around for a while, so 5 years as a sort of trend, let's say.
Right.
AI really only in the last year as a sort of mainstream trend within tech, and saying, so we've got this wave of technology. We are going to price it differently. We're going to deliver in a different way because of these new technologies. And we're going to leverage our experience and network to sort of get that off the ground and build credibility. How sort of deliberate was that process? Did you start with the offer and then go, okay, here's what we think people want, and then how are we going to sort of work? So here's what we want to promise. Can we do that? What does the solution look like? What was your process for sort of forming Kodebusters as a product?
Sure. To be honest, this process is still on, and I think we're in early days. So we are refining it every single time with every single client. Even with every single sales call, we refine it. Like the wording which we have right now wasn't there a month ago, and maybe next month will be also different. So what we have right now as an offer is something which we came up to, let's say, in the last quarter, based on the feedback we received, and also based on what makes the most sense for the client and for us as a business. So we choose this subscription model as so-called like productized service to really minimize this necessity for like this discomfort for a client to think like how much is going to cost me. So when we have a fixed price, and this price is available on the website, everyone can see, we take all the risks on if something goes wrong with the project. And let's say if you pay for hours, and in the beginning I tell you, okay, the project will take 200 hours. And then eventually it was 250 hours, which is absolutely normal for software development. So I'm not risking, so the client pays more because this is what we agreed on. In case of the productized service, when you have fixed price model, you take all the risks. So you need to make sure that you communicate realistic scope from the very beginning. But this is where my experience as a product manager in big corporations also comes very helpful, because this is something which I've been doing for a while. I've been managing very complex and massive products which were launched across the globe with a lot of stakeholders from different countries involved. communicating like best case scenario, realistic scenario. It was something I get a lot of experience with. And I think this really helps to make realistic expectations, set up realistic expectations for the clients and make sure that we fulfill them and exceed them as well. So as a young company, we always aim to over-deliver and always give extra value to what we promise. So this is about the pricing. As we mentioned before in the beginning, this is a very competitive market. Even my ultra niche is also very competitive. And this is the way how we can build this trust with people who don't know us yet, right? Because when it comes to money, especially for, let's say, early stage startups, it's a very sensitive topic, right? You basically trust a person from the internet, how to make sure that like they're not going to scam you, they're going to deliver. So this is one of the ways how we can do it from the very beginning. And the points which you said before about automation, the fact that it all converges, not only that AI tools become more available, also we learn how to use them, how to apply them, because there are thousands of different startups utilizing AI or whatever, OpenAI API, but sometimes I'm struggling to understand like what's the value I have as a professional from them. But once you have like a suite of products which you know how to use and you know like it cut the time, it cut the costs, and you also see the quality of these products, this is where it all comes together. And of course the years of experience and product management intuition and this gut feeling when you make a judgment with the high uncertainty, this is something which you cannot delegate to AI. This is something which you can only get from like years of experience, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think it's, I want to talk about your brand in a second, but just final point on the offer. I mean, Alex Hormozy, you've mentioned, I think, by the way, is putting out the best content at the moment around business advice. Just something actionable for those listening. 4 elements he talks about of a really compelling offer that I always think about, I teach with clients, and I bake into my own products is firstly desired outcome. So what is that big outcome someone's looking for? For example, like building a successful MVP or a product customers love, product customers are willing to pay for. Credibility, so that can come from hey, I'm Gleb, look at my CV, right? I can back that up. I've worked in Berlin at all these companies you recognize. And by the way, we're going to throw in this free workshop to show that you can trust us. Saving time, 10x faster in your case, saving effort, 10x faster, 80% cheaper. Right? All of that for me makes a really compelling offer, and I think that's so important. And it's probably why you're doing quite well just after 9 months of launching, because you've been quite conscious about making this hard to ignore and saying, look, we know that there are loads of agencies out there, and most of which, by the way, are crap and rubbish, and they're just going to basically take your money and give you some rubbish product. But we are top. We are very, very good at what we do, and here's how we do that in a really different way. Because I think if you get that right, that offer to focus you, then you'll work out the details. As you said, tools are changing. You're learning some of them as you go, I'm sure, but you're just going to get better at delivering on this offer because you're really focused, because that mission is really clear in terms of giving someone a promise and then delivering on the promise with the offer. I want to talk about brand there as well. How conscious, because I like Kodebusters, not just the K instead of the C, but I like the name. It's clear, outcome focused, right? It's about busting, i.e. not needing you to write lots of code. Again, the offer I think really stands out. You talked about this sort of like, what was the word? Not controversial you used, but sort of unconventional challenger mentality. Mm-hmm. Like, how conscious was that with the brand you're building, and how conscious was it? How important do you think it was, and how does it manifest itself in your day-to-day communication, for example?
100%. It's very important, and I put a lot of hours and days and months into defining every single word which we use on the website, in social media, because again, it's very hard to differentiate myself and the business, because right now it's one piece. And of course I also put my passion and my personal ambitions there, my style as well. I'm still trying to find a way how to map it into organization, because also it comes to company culture and the way how we communicate inside and the way how we communicate to external world. So for me, brand matters a lot, because as people say, it's a quote that reputation and brand is what people talk about you when you're not in the room. And I think right now with social media, with the audience, which I'm also trying to build, with the high quality content, scaling the brand is a massive opportunity. But brand needs to be good. Brand needs to be, people should memorize it and associate it with good quality, but also with the spirit, with our unique vibe. So yeah, and again, it's still work in progress. We're reinventing ourselves all the time, but the spirit of Kodebusters is also something which we take each other accountable in the founding team, because we need to make a lot of really difficult decisions, and communication between us. Sometimes also there could be some tension, there could be disagreements, there could be conflicts as well, conflicts of different ideas. But we always try to think like, what's the Kodebusters way? Like, which action should we take so it fits our philosophy and fits our values? I recorded a video on YouTube, about the values which we have in the company, if somebody wants to take a look. But we defined some principles which are guiding us in our decision. They're also guiding us in hiring. And to be honest, when I was working in big companies where they took like years and maybe sometimes decades to define these principles, I didn't pay that much attention. I was thinking like, why you need this company culture? But when I actually started to hire people, when I started to manage people, I realized how important is that. Because when it comes to skills, they can be taught. You can coach people, you can coach more junior people and they will be performing excellently. But when it comes to the cultural fit and the personal match, this is so important when the company is so new and every single project is crucial for you. Like every single project can make you or break you. So I think the brand and the company culture is extremely important.
Yeah, I love that, because I think even as a solopreneur, I think about 4 years running Pod MBA, still going. But the when I wrote content, it was, I did define eventually, okay, what is my differentiation? He talked about two things. I think that's being different, but also being valuable, right? So that means content that is delivering value. Right? When we say quality, it's content that delivers value, not necessarily like capital words or using clever language.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. I love that you're building that already, even at an early stage with the founding team, because as you said, that threads then into everything. It becomes natural for people to, you stop going, what do Kodebusters do? But like, how do I think about this? And everyone being really aligned around that, I think is a really interesting way to think
Maybe,
about
Henry,
it.
one more thing here. I think like I started business, especially with a team, because I enjoy it. I want to have fun as much as I can. Business is not always fun, as we discussed before. It's a lot of stress, a lot of uncertainty, but we can still make it fun. And I think working for organization with a strong brand and the brand which you can relate to, doesn't matter as a founder or employee, it makes it a little bit as a game. Like you feel like you are, you feel like a little gang. You have your mission and you play with others and you play this game. I think it helps a lot to take things a little bit less serious. Some people want to be serious, and there is nothing wrong about this, and you have like a very formal name, you have a very formal relationship with your clients. We take it a bit differently. We try to make it enjoyable for everyone, for us and also for people who work with us. And Kodebusters as a brand and as a name is really like the DNA of this as well.
It's such a good point. This is something I've struggled with, to enjoy more the journey. I think, as an entrepreneur, it's very easy to always be anxious about the future because, you're planning ahead, reacting to competitors, reacting to trends. You're always slightly anxious and on edge about things. But that's something I've been working on, and part of actually launching the podcast is that lightness, sort of bringing a lightness to the work I'm doing. It is, for me, a work in progress, but something that I'm aware. You're basically creating unnecessary suffering, right? It doesn't work also just to chill out. As you found, I was like, I'm going to take a sabbatical maybe this year. I haven't stopped since like university, second year of university, 11 years ago. But, you need purpose. I think you need some direction. But just realizing, it doesn't need to be so like heavy a weight on you, I think is a really important thing to bear in mind as an entrepreneur, because it's a long journey, right?
100%.
Speaking to one of my guest who he's changed his mindset. I think he must be late 30s, early 40s. Yeah, he said, I want to be an entrepreneur for the next 40 years. So that changes the kind of questions I'm asking, the
Exactly.
habits I'm building, the goals that I have, which I think is a very wise way to think about it.
100%. And we, like both of us, we chose the paths in life, but also in personal life, which are not easy. And this mindset of your guest I think, is incredibly important. I have the same about surfing. Like for people who have not tried, I think it's the most difficult thing which you can ever do, mentally and physically, but also for me personally, it's the most rewarding thing as well. And if you want to be a good surfer, you just need to let go of the ego and accept the fact in day one that this will never happen. Like you will never achieve perfection, like never. It's a lifetime journey and you will improve, you will try different things, but you are competing only with I know it sounds like super cliche, but the only competition is your past self. And I remember this moment when I was stressing out a lot about my progress and everything. And at some point I said, I will train until I learn how to do it. Like when you learn like the bottom turns and top turns, when you do snap, like I couldn't do this. And so like, I will learn until I understand. And I have the same about business. Like I know when I made like a deal with myself, and I often forget about this, but I try to remind myself very often, like when I stepped on this journey, like I made a deal with myself unconsciously that I will eat dirt for the next 10 years. Like it's going to be a pain for at least next 10 years. And it's okay. Let's focus long term. And as your guest said, ask different questions. And sometimes on micro level, things are not going great. And it's very easy to be stuck in that and think like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. But if you look at the macro level, which is like insane progress every single year, totally reinventing ourselves, doing things which other people wouldn't dare to do, and just pushing ourselves so far. Let's say you're doing this podcast now, like it's incredible. Like you're already in one top percent of media creators in the world just by starting this. And for different entrepreneurs, it's a different experience. But what I'm doing, pushing myself constantly with every client call, with every contract, with every single challenge I face, I'm thinking like, damn, I'm growing like crazy. And who cares about the struggles of the day? We think long-term, and long-term it's going to be incredible journey, incredible process.
Yeah, I think really very wise words. What does success look like for you as Gleb, this business, with your future generally?
To be honest, for my definition of success, I consider myself already successful because I have a feeling that I feel like I'm a fulfilled person. By no means my life is perfect, but it's amazing. And it's thanks to this business as well. And I know money is a question of persistence, because again, like if money was the question, I could take like a consultant job in Switzerland, just be there. For me, success is when you do what you feel like because you choose it, and you have also choice not to do it. I know if it makes sense, but I think you know what I mean. When you are enjoying things which, allow you and enable you to live the life you want. And I feel like I'm already at this point. Of course, when it comes to wealth, and there are many things I want to do, but I think first we need to become, and then we do, and then we have something. So usually people think like, when I do this or I have this, I will become this. When I open my company or come to like 1 million revenue, or when I buy this, I will become happy or I become successful. But things usually work the other way around. First you become and say like, okay, I feel like I'm successful today. And then you start having things, and then you start doing things. And I'm always open to say that Kodebusters for me is a lifestyle business. I don't have a goal to change the world with this business. I think it will be my other business, or maybe the third or fourth or 10th. So I will probably come to this point, but not now. Now I want to change my own world. It's a lifestyle business. I have some clear metrics which I'm following, and the moment I achieve them, I will define success for this business, and maybe I can also move forward. But everything is very realistic and very reachable, I would say. I want this business to enable my life further which I already really enjoy living, but I want to bring it to the next level, to, again, better surf trips, more quality time, and not only in Bali, where it's very affordable, but everywhere. Let's say if I want to go to Europe tomorrow and have the same lifestyle as in Bali, I'll probably need to put like 2 zeros to my expenses. So I want this to be, I want it to be totally possible. So I would say success, at least for now, this is what I'm pursuing.
Interesting. I think sort of coming to a conclusion, one final sort of quick fire question. I think it's difficult, right, for say someone starting a business or wanting to start, an aspiring entrepreneur, aspiring solopreneur, small business owner who sort of wants more freedom of time, some level of financial freedom, rather than the fame and glory of building the next Facebook. I think many, it's hard for them to go from where they are now, sort of feeling quite lost, to where you are now. I'd say I put myself in a similar boat, like feeling very fulfilled, like with where I live, with the sort of balance between the purpose of running a business plus life. And that feels quite far away if you're sort of stuck in a job, busy city, overwhelmed a little bit. What one piece of advice would you give someone in that situation, an aspiring solopreneur, aspiring small business owner, to get started?
It's very difficult, to be honest. I'll try to make it one. I think if the person is already committed to this journey and it's okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to run my own business, but I don't know how to start, I would say in this case, I would recommend to try to make, let's say, $100 this month. Sell a service, sell a product. Think like maybe cold call some people, just find it on LinkedIn, or cold email, or maybe go through your network, your colleagues, your neighbors, anything, and try to sell them something which you have some talent for, or maybe some passion about. So don't focus on millions and billions. Think about the first $100 and try to sell it. It will be difficult, but it will change your life. So I would say for the first business, be as practical and as, let's say, unemotional as possible. If you cannot do it yourself, team up with somebody who is. Go as old school as possible. Try to find a person who is very, very, very practical in what they do. Team up with them and make your first $100, maybe 1,000. So this is for people who just know when to start. If you have many, many, many ideas, which many of us have, like if you have a few ideas, you think like, oh my God, I know where to start. Start with the one which can make you money like tomorrow or this week or this month. But if you are not reached this point yet and you just feel like the life, you want to do something different, I think such a big change can come from inside, or it comes from the outside as well. For the inside, as I said, I had to come to some critical point where this transformation had to happen, because I thought, okay, I cannot live like this anymore. It has to change. So I wish you change your life way before this point. But what I mentioned before, you become a person and then things change. Like then first you be and then you do. But then there's also a way how external environment can change you. And if you do something very original or something unusual for yourself, like go to some place you've never been before, or something where you can maybe find people with the same mindset, like in Portugal or in Bali, spend some time, hang out with them, get some inspiration. But it doesn't have to be so dramatic. It can be go to the cafe where you've never been, maybe go to the most expensive hotel in your town where you know that like successful people hang out or they come to visit. Take a coffee in the cafe and spend there one day, read a book, and maybe you have some interesting conversation. Like do something to get yourself out of the loop. Because just maybe reflect on your life. This is something which I was also doing. If you go to the same places all the time, there is very little opportunity for luck to find you. So you need to help luck to help you. And this, this sign which you might be looking for is waiting for you, but you need to break a little bit the pattern, break a little bit the loop where you're stuck. And and you will find it there. And the more often you do this, the more opportunities you create for randomness of the universe to appear. Yeah, maybe this would be my advice.
I think it's excellent advice. Both on the $100, just focusing on like any way possible to just get that first money in, and then you get all the momentum after that. Sort of a core belief in my own business that we push with clients. And then, as you said, just sort of starting to create the fertile soil. I love that idea you have of, sort of finding the sign you might be looking for and putting yourself in the kind of places that might be, I think is also excellent advice for someone really just sort of starting to think about even an entrepreneurial path. I thought it was a fascinating conversation. I've taken loads of notes. I've got a few ideas that I want to bake into my own business and personal journey as well. More importantly, any calls to action to listeners? I know you're posting on LinkedIn a lot. So that's Gleb Gordeev, Kodebusters, KODEBUSTERS.com.
Right.
Is that correct? Yeah. Anywhere else you want people to follow you, to sort of follow your journey? I think it's a fascinating one that I've been following the last few months.
Henry, first of all, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I really enjoyed our conversation. I also learned a lot from this, and I hope the audience also found it interesting. Yeah, just connect with me on LinkedIn. I think right now this is my main social network. I also have Instagram, but it's kind of small, and it's mostly like surfing related and shirtless photos. LinkedIn is definitely more valuable, so just find me there. My name is Gleb, Gleb. There are very few people in the world with such names, so you'll probably find me there.
You'll see the name as well, top of the episode when it's published.
Yeah.
Awesome, Gleb. That was an absolute pleasure, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Refounders. If you enjoyed this episode and want to get each shiny new episode straight to whatever platform you use to listen to your podcast, please subscribe using the subscribe button below. If you're feeling generous, why not share with a friend?